Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Sorry it took so long for me to post this video. I'm pretty excited to get back on board and on a schedule. I know like the very first video I posted was an intro video and now we have this one. This video is centered around reading challenges. I have been finding that a lot of people do like readathons and reading challenges and buddy reads and things like that. So I was like really intrigued to look into more. And this could probably fulfill me for the rest of the year, to be honest. So, and that's exactly what I wanted to do, was to be able to utilize a reading challenge to be able to get those extra books in. I thought, well, hey, why not, do like a series of these videos going through each of the books that I've selected for this particular reading challenge that I found, and then, talking about the books as I'm done reading them. So, like, when it comes to like the booktube side of my channel, I thought this would be a good, clever way to like kind of dive into everything. Especially with the prompts. Like, I'm very intrigued by like how a reading challenge works. And if you don't really know what a reading challenge is, you could literally go on Google and just search like reading challenge and a ton of them like pop up. But the one that I found, it's the Modern Mrs. Darcy 2020 Reading Challenge. Very small amount of prompts. I feel like it's a good starter for myself. I mean, we're obviously already into almost October for 2020, so this year hasn't exactly been the greatest for me when it comes to like getting outside and doing things outdoors. I did go camping one weekend. I've been like a homebody, and obviously with quarantine and everything going on with COVID, it just seems natural to kind of cozy in with a reading challenge for the remainder of the year, especially as we get into fall, into the winter months here in Cleveland, Ohio. So, I thought, this would be a perfect one. It's got 10 prompts, it looks like. And then it looks like 13 books total. We're pretty much in October, so we'll just say October to December. So little over 3 months to finish 13 books, which is a major feat for me. I've been actually doing fairly well. Even before I created this channel, I've been like kind of reading about two books a month. Maybe like if they're like average size. If they're like huge, then yeah, definitely one book a month. But and that's if I consistently read. Like with my kid and everything, it's a little challenging to get a set schedule, but I'm getting better about that. And then with being a software engineer, sometimes I'm working 60 hours a week, so I figured this will help me get away from the computer and code and stuff like that. But yeah, let's dive into it. Prompt 1 is a book published the decade you were born. So since I was born in the 80s, I thought, hey, why not just go with like a 1980s published book? But the one I am going to end up reading for this prompt is The Mist by Stephen King. I've been very interested in this Stephen King book. I've read quite a few of Stephen King, and I am absolutely horrified of like watching horror movies and stuff like that, but when it comes to the books, like it's like, sure, it's a lot more graphic, but I actually really enjoy like horror and thriller type books. And, hey, that'll be a perfect one because that one was published in 1980. So the second prompt is a debut novel, a Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne. This is the prequel to the Hunger Games series that everyone loves and knows. I believe I'm on chapter 5. Yeah, so I'm about 62 pages already into this book. I'm really enjoying this. It's like kind of following President Snow in his younger years, like trying to get into the academy and just being a part of society in the capital at its poorest. And he's just really struggling. His family and his cousin. He lives with his grandma and his cousin, but they like really scrape by to like make ends meet within the capital. He's a mentor to the District 12 girl, and that's so far what I've like kind of grasped from it. I am enjoying this one. I think at the end of the day, this book is probably going to end up being a 5-star review for me, but we'll see what happens. Next prompt, a book recommended by a source you trust. So before I even created my channel, I really got involved with like booktube, Emma Books, all of them, Haley and Bookland. I've watched them all, so I trust those girls, and I really was able to like broaden my TBR list. Like I think my TBR list is like 1,400 books. This one was recommended from Emma Books, City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. I read The City of Bones and I absolutely loved it, so I'm actually really excited to dive into City of Ashes. I just haven't had a chance to really dive into it. This is following the character of Clare and Jace, and I'm not going to give away like what happened in City of Bones if you've never read it. I'm sure many people have read this. This is a pretty old series. I mean, it was published in 2008, so I'm really behind on the party with this one. But I love a good fantasy. But I'm like really interested. I love everything about like the werewolves and the, you know, vampire vibe, and then the shadow hunters. Like I just love that whole environment. So I'm really thinking that I'll be able to get really involved with this one. Next prompt, number 4, a book by a local author. The book that I'm going to select for this prompt is Afterlife by Nancy Loyan. She's from Cleveland. But it's a sci-fi book. It really intrigued me because like I really liked the movie The Martian, or Ad Astra with Brad Pitt in it. I really like those types of like movies. So I thought, well, when I was reading the synopsis of Afterlife, I thought, hey, why not, you know, take a look at it. I wanted to get a sci-fi pick in there, so I figured, hey, why not? So prompt 5, a book outside of your comfort zone, like genre. I kind of took like this particular prompt as a book outside of like my normal comfort zone reading. Picked The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. The reason why I say this is out of my comfort zone is that I don't read like very creepy-ish vibe thrillers.
Hey guys, Editing Christina here. So you're probably confused right now why I'm like rambling on about how uncomfortable I am about thrillers like The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I did mention earlier that I've read Stephen King books. There's particular thrillers that do get to me and are generally the ones that I'm very uncomfortable reading. So that's kind of the point that I'm making here.
So, like, I like a good suspenseful and psychological thriller, kind of like The Wives by Taryn Fisher. A great example of usually the type of thriller books that I read. But this one is, like, ultra creepy already. I am on page 45, so I'm not too far into it. But it's about the character Hal. She's really struggling to get by. She's a tarot reader. You know, she's just really struggling to get by. It's so far, like, it seems like she, has gotten involved with, the wrong crowd on borrowing money. She's really struggling financially, and, she got a letter in the mail about a dead grandmother leaving a substantial estate to her. And from what I gather, that this has been a mistake, but she's contemplating so far in the book, declare that she is going to accept the substantial estate for her heirship. Because obviously she is like super struggling when it comes to finances, and she thinks that this is like an outlet. But I don't know what's going to happen. It does seem like, you know, she's convincing, like, internally she's convincing herself to try to accept the substantial estate that, you know, these people seem to think that she's entitled to. So even though she doesn't really know her dad and their side of the family and all that. So she's kind of like trying to convince herself at the beginning. But So far, I am liking this book. I'm very creeped out. But hey, you know, I can read Stephen King books, so I guess I don't know. I don't know. It's something about this this book so far is just giving me like these creepy vibes, and we'll just see how this goes. So, I mean, it's not that thick either, so I should be getting through this fairly quick. Moving on. So prompt 6, a book in translation. So, I thought this one would be appropriate for going back to a classic. So I picked Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy.
Hey guys, editing Christina again. So you may have noticed that I cut to this scene right now. I looked into the Leo Tolstoy book, but it is a very, very long-ass book. So I decided to switch from the Leo Tolstoy book to A Man Called Ove by Fredrik something. Sorry, I'm not very prepared. It's almost midnight here and I'm still editing this video. I switched to that one because it's a little bit more reasonably shorter. And I feel within the timeline that I'm giving myself for 13 books, I felt that it was absolutely necessary to switch to that particular book.
To prompt 7, the book nominated for a reward in 2020. I picked the winner of the Locus Award, and that one is Charlie Jane Anders, The City in the Middle of the Night. So this one is classified as a sci-fi book. I don't know much about it, but it seemed very interesting. I kind of got the vibe that, you know, it's kind of like a parallel universe type thing. It's probably not going to be that way, but, you know, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from that one. Prompt 8, a reread. So this one was really challenging for me to select. Just because there are quite a few series that I'm obsessed with that I would love to reread again. So I thought maybe, you know, since I had already read the first in this series, I would reread the second in this series, and it's the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So I don't know how much I'm gonna like splurge my nerdiness of Harry Potter on my channel, but I have an entire living room dedicated to Hogwarts memorabilia and just completely obsessed with the wizarding world. And I thought it was absolutely appropriate to add the Chamber of Secrets into this reading challenge. And I'm very, very excited to be able to reread this series just because this has been a long and dear series that has really shaped who I am as a person. It just really inspired me. I really love the entire world building that J.K. Rowling did. I personally love this series. You know, I just really want to reread it again. 9 is a classic you didn't read in school. So I'm assuming that this is related to, like, high school reads. So, like, in high school, I graduated in 2004. I'm getting old, so that's gonna kind of come as a shock to a lot of people when I mention 2004. So, so, like, in my high school days, we read, like, Great Gatsby, we read, The Outsiders, we read, what was another one we read? Oh, The Quiet on the Western Front, we read that one. So, like, very, like, basic for that time period. So, like, the classic that I selected that I didn't get to read in school was The Lord of the Flies by William Golding. I don't know much about this book. I've heard, like, it float around that it's a good classic to read. So I thought, hey, why not? And then the last prompt for this reading challenge is 3 books by the same author. So I've been very interested in Leah Bardugo's work. I've never read her books. I've heard great things about her books. So I thought, hey, why not? She has a ton of different, like, books that she's written. So I thought this would be perfect for this prompt. So the 3 books that I'm planning on reading for this particular prompt is The Ninth House, Shadow and Bone, and then Siege and Storm. So that's the second in the Shadow and Bone series. I guess you're supposed to follow it in order, but I'm honestly bouncing around everywhere. But you know, I figure as long as I get through each of these prompts in the reading challenge, I'm sure it'll be fine. So I don't know. You tell me in the comments on how you would recommend doing this. So that should lead me up to the final bit of this year. Yeah, all good things, all exciting. I'm super pumped and ready to go. But yeah, that wraps up this particular video. If you are new here, feel free to subscribe and like this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.